Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Somebody asked, when is the best time to pay your credit card? Okay. Now, please understand there's a difference. Okay. Not only in the time frame you pay your credit card, in terms of what type of credit card. Because here's where some people get confused. All right. Some credit cards will allow you to make a late payment on your credit card. And what they will not do is charge you a fee for paying that credit card late. However, that does not stop them from reporting to the credit bureaus that you made the payment late. So they won't charge you a fee, but they still will report it to the credit bureaus. All right. And I think this is one of the bigger things that a lot of people get confused sometimes with certain credit cards, is that because they don't charge them a fee, that doesn't mean that they're not going to report it to the credit bureaus late. All right. So that's very important. All right. That's number one. Number two, in terms of looking at what bureau is going to give you the biggest influence. All right. So you're going to have your FICO score, and you're going to have your Vantage score. And remember, I've told you guys many times that with your Vantage score is going to fluctuate at least 2 to 3 times a month. Okay, where your FICO score is going to stay stagnant. And this is very important. And the reason it's important in terms of not only when you pay the credit card or how often you pay the credit card. Okay, so I always tell people, if you have the means, all right, I would suggest that you pay your credit card every 15 days. Make a payment on your credit card every 15 days. And the reason why is because this is going to help fluctuate the credit score. All right, this is going to help give you a bigger impact on your credit score. That's another thing. Now, your biggest impact on your credit score is making sure that your utilization, if possible, is down under 10%. Okay. Now, a lot of people are not even aware of this because the norm, most people think it's 30%. However, if you want the biggest impact, it has to be under 10%. All right. Now, that's the reason I said in terms of like frequency, how often you pay it. These things all together is what influences your credit score, especially if your goal is to try to get at least a 800 credit score or at least 700 plus credit score. All right. Now, that being said, a couple things that most people still miss, and it hurts their credit score. When they pay off a credit card, they will close the account. Do not close the account. All right. And the reason you do not want to close the account, because you may be closing history. Okay. History on your credit file. All right. Now, why is this important? Because some people, they may have a credit card. All right. And they have high limit credit cards. However, they may have received a credit card before they start getting those higher limits that was maybe only $500 or $1,000. So they took that credit card and they just threw it in the drawer. However, this being their oldest credit card, if you allow that credit card to close, it's going to hurt your history because it's your oldest credit card. Now, let's just say it's 2 years old and it has a low limit, and now you got higher limit credit cards that are also 2 years old or whatever. Then because of that higher limit credit card, if you close that older one with the smaller limit, you won't have that effect. However, if you have this 5-year-old small limit credit card and you have this 2-year-old high limit credit card, then you closing that 5-year-old high limit credit card, you're going to hurt your credit score. Okay. So that's the reason why I continue to tell people you have to be careful on what type of accounts that you're actually closing. That's the reason I tell people it may not even be necessary for you to close it. Allow them to close it because it won't affect your credit score. Okay. So that's another thing. Now, here's the other thing. In terms of paying the for the actual impact on the credit score, like I said, you should pay it every 15 days, all right? Twice a month, because this is going to give you the biggest impact. But your main date is making sure that if you can try to pay that credit card under that 10% 5 days before the statement date, okay? Not the due date, but the statement date, all right? And a lot of people get this confused, all right? So you don't want the due date, you want the statement date, all right? So when that statement date closes, now if you go and use that card a day after that statement date, then all of your other transactions that you put on, that's going to go over into the next 30 days. And that's going to be helpful to you. Another thing, in reference to hurting your credit, you becoming a cosigner. This is one of the reasons why I tell my clients, do not cosign for your kids a car, a student loan, or a credit card, all right? What you want to do, you want them to inherit your credit, but you do not want to co-sign for these here loans. The reason is, if they're responsible for making these payments and they skip that payment and you co-sign for it, it's drastically going to drop your credit score, okay? So you're talking about 50 to 80 points if they miss it. So that's the reason why you never want to co-sign, even for your kids. Your kids going off to college and they need a student loan and stuff. No. What you want to do is allow them to inherit your credit, okay? And then let them get a loan in their own name. But you do not want to co-sign for them, not even a car, okay? Do not do that. Trust me, if you do that, you're going to screw yourself, all right? Because there's going to be a period where they may not have the money to make the payment, or they may just completely forget. You know, people do forget. Life happens. And so by you being on the hook for that loan, then now if they miss that payment, then it's going to affect you. So that's the reason I always tell people, do not co-sign for people. All right. Now, another thing is having too much credit and not enough income. All right. This is another thing that a lot of people are, well, how come they won't give me a higher credit limit? Well, the thing about it, you may have a lot of this open revolving credit, okay? However, you're not utilizing. And so like with banks these days, especially banks like First Tech Credit Union, okay? They're one of the biggest ones that stick. If you have a lot of open revolving credit and stuff like that, they won't give you any credit, okay? Or they'll make you wait. They'll want you to join and they'll make you wait anywhere from 90 days up to 6 months before they decide to give you credit, even if you have an 800 credit score and you have paid your bills on time. So that's another thing that a lot of people are not aware of when they're trying to get credit limits and stuff like that with some institutions, even like with Discover. Discover is particular about that too. So you may have a Discover card for $25,000 and then you decide, hey, I want to get a Discover loan. They may not give you that loan. Now, what they may do in terms of with Discover, they may give you convenience checks that would allow you to transfer the balance from your credit card over into your bank account. But getting a separate personal loan, they may not give you that loan, okay? So this is just some things that you have to understand. Like I said, the biggest part about it is that with your FICO and your Vantage score, because your Vantage score fluctuates so much or whatever, this is what throws a lot of people off, because they're like, well, how come my score didn't go up or whatever? Again, that may be the FICO score when you pay the account off, okay, that the system has not completely ran through. However, with the Vantage score, when you make that payment or whatever, like I said, it fluctuates much faster, all right? Now, if you have any questions about business credit funding, personal credit funding, removing negative items off the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.